Thank you, and a big hello from London. It is rare when looking at weekly patterns to see similar patterns across different markets. Now, you sometimes see that in the currencies with a weakness of strength in the dollar, as we have this week, but that is not the main subject of my commentary this week. You see, last week we had a similarly weekly patterns across some of the cryptos I follow. In Bitcoin, we had a weekly key reversal up last week, which was only evident right at the end of Sunday night, and then only just. This pattern had some hesitation on the Monday with an indecisive spinning top pattern, but yesterday prices pushed higher with an unusual key reversal up as the market punched up and out of the dark blue bear channel that had been formed since mid-October, and really since the peak in early October. We've since gotten tangled up in some Fibonacci lines at 92,735 and 94,211, but the move up and out still stands. Prices now need to stabilize outside of this dark blue bear channel to consider if they wish to go sideways or higher, or even to track along the top of the now breached, though not yet broken, dark blue bear channel. That was Bitcoin, and we also saw a similar move in another crypto coin, in Ethereum, Ether, where we likewise had a weekly key reversal up last week, and we had a suitable follow-on higher this week, though with somewhat less hesitation on the Monday. However, here we have seen prices rise up all the way to the resistance of the declining green short-medium moving average, which is currently at 33.73, which has seemingly capped the rise for now. Finally, I also follow Solana, or Solana coin, and here last week we also saw an attempted weekly key reversal up, and it did look for a while as if the market was going to make it on Sunday night. However, right at the end, prices dipped enough that instead of a weekly key reversal up, we ended with a lesser outside weak pattern. Nevertheless, prices have followed on higher this week, such that yesterday they were even looking at last week's high up at 146.92 at one point, before turning back lower. Despite this lower value pattern, the market still has followed on higher this week. Looking elsewhere and moving over to the currencies, we had weekly key reversals up in US dollar Brazilian real, which has seen very limited attempts higher, seemingly capped on a closing basis this week by the pink neckline extension currently at 544.44 to the June to September 2024 head and shoulders continuation pattern, and further up by the descending gold long moving average, which is currently at 552.19. In US dollar Philippine peso, we've also seen a follow-on higher this week up to new highs and high closes yesterday, not seen since, well, ever. And in US dollar Turkish lira, which unsurprisingly has had a follow-on higher. It's not really a surprise at all. Over to the commodities, and we had a weekly key reversal down last week. In Chicago soybean futures, which saw a more than satisfactory follow-on lower this week, as prices came off a late October to early December head and shoulders top. I'll detail this more thoroughly in my weekly oilseeds and veg oils commentary tomorrow. Now a somewhat contradictory pair of commodities, as we had a weekly key reversal down in Paris milling wheat futures last week, and this week we have not seen a follow-on lower, though I do note how prices are today close to where we finished off last Friday. Then in Kansas City wheat futures last week, where we had a contradictory, so it's a contradictory weekly key reversal up last week, and where today we have most definitely not seen a follow-through higher for this week. Prices have instead moved down, though still within last week's range right now. Now I cover both of these in greater depth in my weekly grains and starches video commentary on Friday. As always, I'm happy to answer any direct questions with anyone who's interested. And with that, I'll finish this section from London, and I hope that you found these comments useful.
Thank you for listening and watching this broadcast. This weekly broadcast gives the essential market patterns and consequences. Please be aware of the risk disclaimer posted both at the front and at the back of this broadcast. The copyright is Eddie Tofpik and ADM Investor Services International Limited. And here comes the final important bit.